Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Brokerpreneur Podcast. I am Dr. Ben Spears, the ambassador of Flow. I'm here with my cohort, my COVID, co-survivor.
Co-survivor.
The big guy as usual, Matt. Matt, how are you feeling today, man?
Man, I'm feeling a lot better than I was just a few short days ago, Ben.
You and me both.
Yeah, so we were wiped out with the 19, right? So our whole staff was like everybody,
absolutely.
people calling, all that kind of stuff. Everybody was wiped out. Everybody all at one time too. It wasn't like we're like, hey, some of y'all want to get it and some of y'all want to not get it and some of y'all get it later. No, man, it was just like wiping everybody out. So yeah, so I'm feeling a lot better. I'm actually excited to kind of see how this podcast goes, right? Because you and I are, we're moderately sharp guys, we'll say. And I've been a little foggy lately. I ain't gonna lie. So we better lean on our show notes pretty hard.
No, absolutely. So, Matt, with that being said, tell us, what are we talking about today?
Yeah. So who do people like the least? That's what we're going to talk about. Whenever it comes to recruiting, are people not coming to your office because you got more people they don't like than more people they do like in your office? We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to dig into it.
I like that. So, Matt.
Yeah, Ben.
Let's say you were listening to the podcast right now.
Yeah.
You should go and hit that follow button and that subscribe button wherever you're listening, don't you think?
I do think so. I think that'd be the thing to do.
And there's no better time than the present. Not for you specifically because we're doing this.
Yeah, there is a better time than right now.
Than to go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com, or if you're old school, go to prospectboomerang.com. You can still do that and click on podcast at the top. And then sign up for our weekly recruiting newsletter. It is I put my heart and soul into this newsletter every single
it's
week.
So good.
And
it's so good.
I love hearing the feedback from it, and I'd love for all of our listeners to be part of it. So how does someone I think what we're talking about is they're not going to come to your office if they don't like the people there, or they don't like the office.
Right. Yeah, so hang on. Let's talk about that for just a second first, okay? And then we're going to get into likability because I know that's where you were going with that, right?
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So which you're an expert at. So I can't wait to hear you weigh in on some of this. But so there is. So take a serious look, right? Look around your office. You have some people that, and I'm just going to throw this out there.
Yeah.
When you look around your office, do you look around your office and go, man, I really don't like some of the people that are in my office?
Every day.
He was kind of staring me down when he said that, people.
There's only two people in our office.
I know. He's like, every day I know you're the problem. But when you look around, honestly, do you look around and go, okay, I know Betty Sue's been in the business 964 years and she's made a ton of enemies. Or do you look around and go, Betty Sue's been in the business 960 years and everybody loves her? Yeah. Right. When you look around your office, how many people are honestly do people like, and how many of them do they not like?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're not talking about not being authentic. Okay. That's not what we're talking about, right? Okay. So we're not saying change who you are, but what we are saying is take a close look at it, and a lot of the times, which we're going to dig into this. A lot of the times, the reason why your likability isn't as high as your dislikability is because the dislike thing gets put on display.
Okay.
And the likable thing doesn't always get put on display.
Yeah, and a lot of that goes into what we've talked about before, which I don't want to dive into this, but someone else telling your story for you.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what so much of that is. Yeah. So. You got one thing that goes wrong, and that somebody tells that story 964 times.
Yeah, it's such a good topic. Let's just dig right in.
Yeah, love it. Yep.
So, Matt, how does someone increase their likability?
Yeah. So number one is you got to have integrity, right? And it's got to be displayed.
Yeah.
Everybody likes people who have integrity, and everybody doesn't like people who don't have integrity.
Yeah.
And so many, I honestly believe that real estate gets such a horrible rap because the things that don't go the way that they're supposed to, everybody puts on display, right? That's what people walk around in town. It's the 311 rule with restaurants, right? 311 rule with restaurants is, if you have a great meal, you'll tell 3 people, right? If you have a crap meal, if the service is horrible, you're going to tell 11 people. That's the restaurant 311 rule, right? The same thing happens in real estate. And so the story about how real estate agents get paid too much and how they screw everything up and how the contract was wrong and how they got screwed on inspection and they bought a house and now something's different than what they thought it was and all that. That is the 3. That's the 11. That's not the 3, right? So what we have to do is when we're doing the right thing, and people don't like to do this because they feel like it's bragging, but when the right thing is happening, you got to put it on display, right? Yeah. So a great example of that would be you have an agent that is very involved in what's going on in the community. For the past 20 years, they've contributed a portion of their commission check every time to a certain charity, right?
Right.
They might want to keep that quiet, get their permission, and make that not so quiet.
Yeah.
Right. Get that out there and tell people about that. Right. Things happen in a transaction. Everybody loves the feel good story of the old lady that dropped her wallet with her Social Security check that she just cashed and some nice kid picks it up, finds it and takes it to her house. Right. With all the money still in it. Everybody loves that story because they love hearing about integrity and things. As the broker, as the owner, as the person in charge of the culture in your office, when those things are happening, you got to put those things on display because they're happening. Yeah. But you just have to tell people about that. That's going to increase your likability score probably more than anything else that you do.
Yeah, and so that has a lot to do with the agents, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like showing your culture out into the community. But you also need to show, that you do things well, and that those things need to be seen. But how do you do that, without kind of coming across like, I'm a peacock.
Right.
That's
right.
What I mean?
Yeah. So super good question. So there's a real simple way of doing that. If you do that enough with your agents, they're going to do it with you.
Yeah. Law of reciprocity.
That's exactly right. So if you're looking for those opportunities with your agents, and if your culture is, I'm going to put on display because integrity is important to us, I'm going to put that on display. If you're talking about it in your sales meetings, if you're having conversations when it comes up with people, your agents are going to go, man, I like being part of this, and they're going to start looking for that with you and with your staff and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can also do nominations. You can say in your staff meeting, hey guys, if you see somebody doing something the way they're supposed to, I really want to put it on display. Please make sure that you email me that in a testimonial format because I want to get it on our webpage. The next thing you know, they're going to start sending you things about you, right?
Yeah.
And so where you post it matters, right? So if Matt does something good, it's not going to get posted on Matt's page that Matt does something good, right? If Matt does something good and there's a testimonial from one of Matt's agents about how good Matt did on something, and Matt's the broker of the office, it's going to go on Matt's business page.
Yeah.
Right. It's not going to go on Matt's page. Right. So you get all that real simple stuff. Once you think about it, real simple, but that's a super good question, Ben.
Yeah. And even, looking at me and saying like, you get that stuff and that kind of thing. And some people do, and some people don't necessarily.
Right.
That kind of brings us to our next point, which is we want to talk about, your training and all that kind of stuff, but you can integrate these things into your training.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. Integrate these nominations, integrate these, testimonials.
Right.
Make them some sort of incentive that, hey, if you see something good that Betty Sue is doing, man, share that.
Right.
And we're going to do something good for you.
Right.
Right. I don't know what it would be.
At the end of every month, we're going to do a $25 drawing because we see that as PR for the people that we want to be connected with. And so it's a form of marketing. And because it is, we're going to treat it like it's marketing. We know there's a cost associated with it. So at the end of every month in the sales meeting, everyone that posted one of those, we're going to draw out of the hat, and you get a $25, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
You can absolutely do something simple like that.
Hey guys, this podcast is powered by Prospect Boomerang.
We all know broker owners struggle with profitability. Prospect Boomerang compounds your profits by recruiting the best agents to your brokerage.
For consistent growth, visit prospectboomerang.com.
That also means, let's take a look at what we do well, right? And make sure that what we do well is being seen. That's a big part of this too, right? So if your office is really good at listing and selling, luxury properties, or if you're the horse niche people, right? Or if your office does a really good job of selling a bunch of commercial real estate, or you're great at property management, or you help out with tenant services a lot, or whatever it is, those things need to be put on display. That needs to be out there as much as possible. Again, what we're doing is we're telling a good story instead of just letting the bad story be told.
Yes.
Okay. So look at it like this. Let's say that you look around your office like we talked about, and you go, okay, that person's mean, 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 right? You look around there. All of those mean people add up, and then you got 2 nice people. Okay. Let's just say that that's the ratio, and now what you're doing is you're looking at your marketplace and going, okay, is that how everybody else sees this? As soon as you start putting those stories out there about what these mean people do, that they have integrity, or that they just found a home, they sold a horse farm and 3 of the horses, had to find new homes because people were bringing in whatever else they were bringing in horse-wise, and you helped find, or your agent helped find a new home for those horses that was going to be at a boys' home or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And you put that on display, even though you think that person is mean, and even though some of the other people in the market might think that they're mean, it's going to soften how they look at that person.
Yeah.
Because the story getting out there is actually putting things into place. Maybe what I thought was mean before was only because the total of 6 stories I knew about someone, 5 of them were them being mean.
Yeah.
But there's really 5,000 stories about this person, but the only ones that are getting out there are the ones that are the mean stories.
Yeah.
So you have to take what you do well and you have to put that on display. You have to take what your agents do well and you have to put that on display.
Just misunderstood.
Well, that's right.
He's not mean. He's just misunderstood.
That's what Ben hears about me all the time. The truth is, I'm not misunderstood.
I have that on a sign. I just hold it up. I'm tired of saying it.
Yeah.
So let's let's talk about that training.
Yeah.
Right. Training should be open. And you say that a lot, and I think that a lot of people need to maybe have that defined a little bit. So when you say, hey, training should be open,
right?
Like, does that just mean like everybody and their brother can come in, or
I think so.
Or just everybody can talk? Yeah. This is an open forum, like everybody's teaching. What does that mean?
Yeah, it can be Z, all of the above, right?
Okay.
But the bottom line to me is that it should be open, obvious, happening all the time, right? And everyone should know that it's happening all the time, right? So if you've got, why do people think a lot of agents are not good agents? Because they do unethical stuff or they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
That's why people think agents are bad agents, right?
Yeah.
How is it that they're going to feel that way about your agents if you're posting constantly great feel-good stories, for lack of a better way of putting it? And number 2, you're always talking about the training that's going on in the company, right? If both of those things are constantly happening, it's really hard for people to have that mindset about the 2 main things that they don't like about other real estate agents. It's hard for them to have that understanding of your office if you're constantly proving those 2 things wrong.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, I think our industry should be better, right? We've talked about this before. This is probably no surprise to you guys, but I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. Ben doesn't love the real estate industry the same amount I love the real estate industry. Ben loves the business side of the real estate industry, which I love, especially the marketing piece of the real estate industry and the growth piece of the real estate industry. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
No, for sure.
Yeah, and I love all that as well. I've said a ton of times before, I'm a business person in real estate instead of a real estate person in business. Mm-hmm. And I think that's absolutely accurate, but I've got this ridiculously passionate love affair for real estate for whatever reason. I don't know when it got in my head and at what point, but it scorches me when I see our industry being taken over by people that don't care and by, people doing well in it that are just in there for the dollar, right? The combat for that, the way that you beat that is by training. Yeah. Training, education, and those things are going to impact mindset. When they impact mindset, they're going to impact skill set. When they impact skill set, people are better at what they do. The industry becomes better. So I love that and I want that for that, and I know that means that's fundamental. Honestly, that's the biggest, right? And so I'll put this out there. So our biggest issue with recruiting that I see on a regular basis because we don't work with everyone we talk to, right?
Yeah.
So there's a very small percentage of who we work with compared to who we talk to.
Yeah.
We talk to a lot of people that have no idea what they're doing when it comes to recruiting, and are so convinced that they have it figured out.
Yeah.
And you can almost always tell that the biggest issue is they quit learning about recruiting, right? What are our listeners doing? They're digging in and they're training and they're getting better and they're learning. So what if you don't agree with everything I say? I don't care, right? I mean,
of course.
So, but you can't listen to our podcast. You can't attend our marketing and challenge events. You can't do these things and not get something out of it that takes you to a better level, period. You just can't.
Yep.
And that's how your training has to be. That's what you have to be putting on display in your market on a regular basis. And when you're doing that, people are going to appreciate that. People are going to get better and they're going to love their industry more and they're going to want to be in your office because they see that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's going to happen is if somebody comes to 10 of your trainings and your trainings are good and there's information in there that's good, you're pushing our challenges out there and they're liking the challenges and they're appreciating, even if they're not doing everything that's in them, they're appreciating them. And then they look around at your office and they're like, those 5 out of 7 people, I really don't like them. I don't know how the hell those people are so crappy inside Ben's office because the training Ben puts out is incredible.
Yeah.
They're going to look at it differently, right? That's your freaking job as a broker. Go out there and make people perceive your office the way that it should be, and that means you have to be training all the time. Make them perceive it the way that it actually is. Let what you do, let how you care come through in what you're doing from a training perspective.
Yeah, and so that's a good point that brings us to the next thing that I want to talk about, which is and I know this is tough for you because you do have that kind of love. You can't always just be about business.
Yeah, that's tough.
Right? And so, there has to be that aspect of, like, I know, like, even in the office, right? We'll come in, we had a meeting this morning.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, let's get down to business.
Right. Yeah, and you guys are all joking, right? Y'all are laughing, talking
Tammy
about
and
COVID.
I are like, how you feeling? How you doing? What's the weather look like where you are? I'm 3 miles down the road.
Right.
Right, that kind of thing. And we want to start those meetings in a very like, hey, let's all come together, be as one, break bread for just a second.
Yep.
And you're like, hey, enough of that chit chat. But we'd sit there and talk forever if we didn't.
Yep.
We call them manatee moments.
Manatee moments, that's right. Because my wife and I were snorkeling and we came across a manatee and she wanted to swim over there and touch it, right? And so she had to stalk it for like 5 minutes before she'd swim over there and touch it. So that turned at one of our meetings. That turned into like a 45-minute story, but not all at one time.
Right.
Right. So it was 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there. We're in the middle of something, and all of a sudden manatee comes back up. So we joke about manatee all the time. So here's the best part about that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Ben, because that's exactly correct. What Ben is saying is 100% correct. You have to slow down and talk to people, right? And I'm just not wired that way, and so I love it that you guys are that way because it does make us slow down, and it does make us slow down and do that. You can't just be all about business. But me, the flip side of that is I feel like if I don't keep things on a certain track, then we would talk about manatees for 19 hours and get nothing done. Now that's not the truth, but that's how I feel about it, right? So you as the manager, if you don't have someone on your team that's doing that, you have to do that yourself. You have to be cognizant. You have to slow down and pay attention. So I should get better at that, right? We've all talked about that. I should absolutely get better at that because you do need to just kind of slow down and be there and be present and realize that it's not, there's no such thing as business life, right? It's just life. Yeah. So yeah, you got to slow down.
Dude,
and
I
talk to
wasn't
people.
knocking you. I don't want you to change.
Yeah, well, that's how I take it. That's how I take it, and it's correct. It's not incorrect. I'm not just honest with other people. I'm damn honest with myself too.
I totally get that. I'm just saying, like, I'm probably not going to change. So one of us needs to be that
way. Okay. Not it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Matt.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to put a bow on it,
Yep.
right? Because we're coming up on our time.
Yep.
But is there anything else that you feel like, gosh, like from a likability standpoint, someone from the outside looking in, one thing that you'd want them to take away as a key from this podcast before I close it out?
Yeah. So you got to be transparent. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to be transparent in what you're doing. And I don't mean the freaking buzzword that everybody's talking about these days. That's so stupid, right? Don't get me started on all that.
Yeah.
So, but you have to be transparent in what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're doing it, all that kind of stuff. So let's use the example that we started at the beginning. If you're trying to put your integrity on display, don't try to trick your staff and your agents and all them and everybody into it and trying to kind of act like, oh, if you don't kind of this, then, let's try to do this instead. And if you get a chance and you see somebody doing this and then send somebody else an email, hey, did anything happen? No, man, just put it out there. Listen, I want people to see our office for what it is. I think you guys are fantastic. I want to put the shit on display that you guys are doing. That's the way that it's supposed to. Let's work on this together. The next sales meeting, I haven't heard anything from anybody. We were going to work on this together. This is something we need to do. I need you to participate. I need you to help.
Yep.
Get out there and get them involved and included. Be transparent about it. This is what I'm trying to accomplish, right? That doesn't mean tell all your secrets. That's not what I'm saying, right? That doesn't mean put your profit and loss statement on the corner of your desk and tell everybody to come look at it if they want to come look at it. That's not what we're talking about. That's not the kind of transparency that we're talking about. We're talking about being transparent in your vision, in your culture, in your integrity, and who you are and what your company is. Be transparent with that, and I promise what you'll get out of it is, one, feeling better about who and what you are, and you'll notice a difference in the vibe around the office.
Yep, I love it. So, Matt, get that action item ready,
Yeah, man.
because I'm getting ready to wrap it up.
I got you.
Guys, if you're listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, any of those platforms, make sure hit that follow button. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button, that bell right beside of it. You get notified every time we drop a new episode. You want to just listen to all these things and see where Matt and I go to work.
Yep.
Go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com and then go to prospectboomerang.com. Find out what we have to maybe help you guys grow your business a little bit more. So, Matt.
Yeah.
Tell us what that action item is, homie.
I hear you, Ben. So what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to look at a month worth of classes. Okay. So everybody out there listening, your next 4 weeks worth of classes. Figure out what they are. Figure out why you're doing those classes, right? Is it business planning stuff? Mm-hmm. Because we're at the end of the year. Is it marketing because you want it to be easy and you want it to correlate with the marketing challenge, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
Figure out what they are. And then I want you to put something out there ahead of time about those classes. So don't just say the day before the class or the week before the class, getting ready for a class tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
Put something out there on your social media, or have your agent share it, something on their social media. Hey guys, this is what we're going to be doing over the next 30 days. Oh, I've got 4 classes coming up, all of them on Thursday. They're all going to be from 9:30 to 10:30, and here's what it is that we're going to be talking about. Have 2 things. One, have your agenda ready for all of them. Okay, even if it's the same agenda and it's basically like, intro and small talk and talk about your objectives and dig into objective 1 and recap and dig into objective 2 and recap and dig into objective 3, recap, summarize, if that's your agenda as an example. Have all of that laid out for all of the classes, but give them all one intention or theme that goes across all of them.
Right.
Okay, and then that's the theme that you push for the next 30 days.
Yeah, I like that.
Hey guys, so over the next 30 days, we know we're getting ready for business planning, and lead gen is a huge part of business planning for 2022, especially if the market is shifting. So I've got 4 classes that are coming up. If you're interested in any of these classes, let me know. They're not just for the agents in my office. Week 1, we're going to be talking about open houses. Week 2, we're going to be talking about, generating web leads. Week 3, we're going to be talking about database and how to get more business from it. And week 4, we're going to talk about how to track your leads. If any of these classes interest you, let me know. And I'll send out a recap of all of them after whatever, right? And put that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Put it out there wherever whatever platform you're on, right? Put it on Instagram or whatever the deal is. Make a video of it or whatever, right? But put a plan together and put it out there and have a theme to all of it. Okay. What's going to happen is people are they're going to want to be excited about that. They're going to see classes. They like building on things, right? People love a series of things.
Right.
Okay. And this is going to help them. This is going to help them feel real comfortable with that.
Yep, I like that a lot. So Matt,
Yeah, Ben.
we have a series of podcast
We do.
episodes.
We do.
150 some. I don't even know the number anymore.
I know, right? It's getting up there.
I'll know whenever I edit this one. It'll
Right.
tell me. But we do these for so many reasons.
Right.
Right. One is just because it's like, I like hanging out with you.
Yep.
Another one is you're forced to hang out with me.
Right.
But the number one reason is
We just want to be part of their win.
see you guys.